And we're live. What's up, Brodies and Bays? This is the Dynasty Bros Fantasy Football Podcast, episode 49. I'm always good when Abel's not here. This is where you come for your fantasy football needs and to chop it up about the latest NFL news. I am Dynasty Bro Dot here with my co-bro.
You got Dynasty Bro Vic. What's up, everybody?
Oh, man. So we got another guest. Love having these fire guests on today, man. So look, this is what we're going to do. We got Mr. Garrett on. Mr. Dynasty Price, how are you doing, sir? You good over there?
Man, I'm doing great. I'm really excited to be on because one, I always like to talk about fantasy football. True. But two, like I've been a low-key fan of your guys' show. I remember tweeting out probably about 2 months ago. I was like, these guys are pretty good. So it's fun to be able to be on and get to talk with you guys.
Much love, man. How's everything been holding up during COVID? Everybody good?
So far, so good, man. We haven't been having any real issues. Everybody's staying healthy. You know, we're trying to, keep our masks on and whatnot. But when you got a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old, they're not about that. So they're ripping that thing off and they're just running like crazy. So, we do as much as we can, but it's only so much.
All right. Well, I'm glad to hear everybody's safe. I'm glad you're doing your part too to make sure everybody else is safe. All right. So look. Today, we got a good episode for you. We got depth plays because you're going to need that. We're in these startups and, you get to these later rounds and you're starting to realize like, man, my starters are good. I got the top half of my depth built. But we got to find a way to build our bench out that's going to last long for the whole season. So we got some good depth plays for you guys. So I'm excited about that. I got a couple guys. These guys have a couple guys and throw some flyers out. But before we get to that, we got the most important thing when we have a guest on. So Garrett, Mr. Dynasty Price, this is important. So I hope you came prepared. Look, I need to get your resume.
Sure.
Your real life football resume, your dynasty, your fantasy resume. So we're going to start with real life. I can't tell from over here, but with a beard like that, you have to have some kind of history in sports. All right. That's all I'm saying. So let's go with real life football.
All right. Real life football resume. Started playing as early as they would let me out where I live, which was 3rd grade. Okay. Really all I cared about was I wanted to tackle people. I didn't really even understand what was going on. Like in the backyard, my dad would hand me the ball and I would run at kids. So I didn't really fully get it, but I knew I wanted to hit people. So then came up through the ranks. Middle school was dope because I was that kid that had the dirt stash already and in 6th grade and way matured quicker than everybody else. So I was like a full grown man out there with these 11, 12 years old. So middle school football was the best. I mean, if I go back to any time period, I'm going back to 7th grade. They were running kids over, just running them over. First game was great because these kids, some of the schools didn't even have football until middle school. So they didn't even they were just getting ready and I'd been playing for a minute. First game, I had 4 touchdowns in the first half. I was like, I'm just going to go sit down. I don't even need to do anything else. Fire. And then unfortunately high school happened and, everybody started to catch up. So, it wasn't quite as easy anymore. But I was a 4-year letter winner at my high school. Now the freshman year is kind of cheating. It was really just for special teams. So,
you made the field. It don't
matter.
True.
It's true. So that was nice. Played all over the field, but my senior year I played middle linebacker and our variation of a fullback. We ran a spread offense. But sometimes we would have 2 backs in the backfield. Sometimes they would split me out in the slot. Sometimes I'd be running some sort of an H-back, tight end type of deal. So I was a little bit all over the place. And then I had the opportunity to play at Malone University, which is in Canton, Ohio. I played college football there. Got to play linebacker and the cool part was we got to play what was Fawcett Stadium. They renamed it now. But it's the Hall of Fame field where they play the Hall of Fame game every year. So that's pretty cool.
Hard. Nice. That's hard. Okay. How were you at linebacker? Were you good in coverage?
See,
did you defend the tight end?
I was better against the run. That was my specialty. Now, that was the biggest thing for me when I got to college was, I had no issue being one of the strongest guys on the field, but it was the speed that I was like, dang, everybody's fast. Like I got linemen out here, and like even these guys are fast. Like that was the biggest adjustment for me. I had no like when we're doing like the Oklahoma drills and stuff like that. Like I had to eat, but once we had to spread out, that was where I had to grow a lot. So I did. I expanded a lot. I grew a lot as a player, as a linebacker, and got much better in coverage later on. But yeah, it was against the run, which was my specialty.
If you would have said some good things about your coverage, I would have tried to set up a 1v1 versus you and Vic, because he's more of a tight end now.
There you go.
I would have tried to set something up, man. I would play quarterback for y'all. But
he said, "Get in that backyard. Come on."
We'll let that one live. All right, so that's a hell of a football resume. I know it's shitting on mine. Vic got a pretty good one too. But it's probably a stupid comment, but I'm pretty sure your fantasy football resume lives up to that. So you got to fill the people in on that, man. Look, I just need to know how long you've been playing fantasy.
Sure.
Give me a estimate amount of championships you've won and how many leagues you're in right now.
So I've been playing fantasy. I've been playing seriously for about a decade now, and championships. I've had a good amount. I have some horror stories too of some championship weeks gone wrong that have really hurt the heart. We had more time. It would make Titanic look like a comedy, but we ain't got time for that. But yeah, I've probably won a good 15, 20. But I play in a lot of leagues, so it evens out. And then what was the last part of that question?
You're playing a lot. Do you got the exact amount of leagues you play in? Do you know?
This season so far, I am in, I want to say 17.
That's a good amount.
So it's quite a bit. And a couple of them are some of those deep Devy ones too. So it's a lot of work.
I want Vic. What you about to say?
I was gonna say I'm pretty sure you started a lot of those during the quarantine, like I did.
For sure. Yeah, because up until about 3 years ago, like if I played in 2, that was a lot. Up until about 3 years ago, that's when I started, doing more like the analyst type stuff and whatnot too. So
I want to say this guy needs to chill out. Hey, I talk to him every single day. And every other day, it's like, man, I'm done doing startups. Then the next day after that, it's like, man, I was on Twitter, man. Somebody invited me to a league. I'm like, dude,
can't say no.
Yeah, you gotta stop eventually. So this guy's on the road right now.
I'm chilling, but I do gotta leave room for the redraft. So I got a couple redrafts I'm gonna do.
There you go.
That's fire, man. That's a hell of a resume in general, man, on both sides, man. So shout out to you. It's rare when we get people that can knock it out the park on both sides. So
I appreciate it,
my brother. That's fire. All right, so look, before we get into the main segment, we always do what's the word, and we always try to touch on some injuries, some flags, and right now everything is rough right now. But the one thing that remains solid, the Hood TMZ by Dynasty Bro Vic. So you ready to give them what they want?
Let's get into it. We're going to be in and out. So of course, with the rap sheet on Twitter, this is where I caught this. So the NFLPA players rep. So this is the NFL Players Association. Pretty much they approved the NFL's latest proposal. So basically we're going to have a season. So it's going to start. Hopefully we can finish it. Some of the last things that they needed to sort out was, salary cap issues and also COVID in terms of, like any benefits and if there's any back pay that needs to happen. So they want to step through those. And of course, the safety. So that was one of the big concerns last week on social media. I'm sure you guys saw with a lot of players tweeting out, but looks like they're comfortable, at least where we stand. So training camp's kicking off this week. I'm actually excited. So yeah. I
know, man. Garrett, speak. I know you're happy that we're having a season so far. That's all we know. So
I was that guy that was like super, super confident up until about like a month ago. And then I was like, man, maybe I've been a little too confident. Like maybe I've been a little too sure about this. But then these past couple of weeks they have filled me with confidence once again. I'm still not convinced about the college season, but I think we're on lock for the pros.
Yeah.
I can tell you this. I am a happy man. I know that we're starting the season. I can name you one person that probably would have been even happier if the season wouldn't have started. I call her my girlfriend. She probably would have had a ball. I'm whispering because I know she's here. I'm whispering. Yeah. But yeah, she probably would have had a blast if the season didn't start. But We're starting. I hope she heard that.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's that, man.
All right, so let's keep it pushing and shout out to Adam Schefter. So I saw this on Twitter as well. But Chiefs starting right guard, Laurent. I usually butcher names. Laurent Duvernay Tardif. I think I nailed that one. Sounds good. But the right guard for the Chiefs, of course, they're coming off the Super Bowl win. He's actually one of the first players to opt out this season. He's going to serve as an orderly at a long-term care facility. So pretty much he wants to just assist with the COVID efforts. So he's going to be assisting nurses and medical staff as it relates to helping to keep the COVID stuff under wraps. So, man, hats off to him. Again, he's come off Super Bowl, but he's called to another service. So, do you guys think we'll have more players taking that route? Rather, it's not necessarily serving in the COVID space, but just in general, just opting out, especially this week.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. I think there'll be a few more that we'll see have it happen. We've seen that in some of the other sports, the NBA startup. We saw some guys decide to play it safe. We saw that with the MLB as well. So I think we're going to see it some with the NFL. I'd be surprised if it was any like huge name players, especially ones that are they're making quite a bit. That's tough to not get that, but man, I gotta say, I have mad respect for that, to be able to sit out, not just sit out for your own safety, but then you're going on the front lines and doing your best to help people out. I as much as I love football and I would hate to see teams not be at full strength because guys are sitting out, if that's the reason they're doing it, then all the respect in the world, because those are the types of things that we need to see more out of people in general, but especially out of our professional athletes. These kids are looking up to these guys. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, man, that's the one thing where when I seen the story break, I had to salute them and then rewind it and then bring my girl in the room to be like, man, listen to this little part of this article, and just hearing ESPN talk about it. And when they finally reached the reason why he's sitting out, I was like, I respect that. So that's so fire, man. I respect that.
Yeah. All right, and of course, like I mentioned earlier, training camp's kicking off this week, so I'm definitely gonna be tuned in to NFL Network and trying to see, if I can, peep any safety precautions they're doing with COVID, and kind of see how guys are practicing, whether they're keeping distances or if they got a mask on. I'm just kind of curious to see how they roll out, especially this first week. So,
yeah, dude, it's gonna be interesting. I mean, it's a whole different thing. I mean, you have different rule changes and things like that every year that teams have to adjust to, coaches have to adjust to. But we've never had anything like this where, I mean, we're literally talking about people's lives potentially, with this kind of stuff. So it's scary, man, and it's weird. And and the tough part is, and not, I'm not a super political guy, but the tough part is, no matter what news media outlet, they're always contradicting each other, and so you feel wrong and dumb no matter what side you believe. And that's been the hardest part, is like, I always feel like I'm either like overreacting or underreacting, and I feel like I can never like get it quite right. So it's weird, and I think we're going to see an adjustment with that on the field too. It's just how cautious are players, how cautious are coaches, what type of situations are they willing to put them in or not put them in. It's going to be a weird offseason.
Yeah.
I agree.
All right, so before we get into these death plays, Garrett, let the people know where they can follow you at, especially on a week-to-week basis.
Yeah, for sure. So all of my stuff that I do is with Dynasty Nerds. I'm on the podcast, so you can hear me week in and week out on the podcast. Whether you are part of the Nerd Herd or you just checking out the free episode, we'd love to have you come check out what we're doing. I'm also on Twitter at Dynasty Price. So I'm usually putting out some sort of video or some sort of commentary on different players or things that I'm seeing, try to be pretty active when I'm able to. And I think that's about it. That's where most of my stuff's going to be at.
All right. Make sure you guys check that out. Yeah.
Where can we follow you at, Dynasty Bro?
All right. You can follow me at Chief Sosa FF. Everywhere, Instagram, Twitter. I'm pretty active on Twitter. So, yeah, follow me there. Reach out to me. Tag me or posts, tweets, whatever. Yeah.
And follow me at Dynasty Bro on Twitter, on Instagram, and Dynasty Bros FF on Instagram. That's the main page. We're trying to create a nice family community on Instagram. So, all that good stuff, man. Inbox me if you want trade advice. It's my thing.
Yeah, he's the guy.
It's my thing.
All right. You want to explain the death plays again?
All right, yeah. So look, main segment. about to get into these depth plays. So these are guys that either A, can start in your lineup right now, but they're going so far back that you just don't have to worry about that position. Usually that works good for like quarterbacks, tight ends. But, every once in a while you find some PPR running backs you like to throw on the back of your bench, and they can end up starting, depends on what kind of format you're in. Or just these deep guys that have a chance to take over a backfield or, take over the lead wide receiver, just anything, man. Anything that you can draft and it's late and the value's great. That's what we're here for, to give you that, because we don't want to state the obvious. We want to give you the things that you're not going to really realize as you get deeper and deeper into your draft. So let us handle that for you guys. So that's the depth plays, man. Everybody got y'all's ready?
Yeah, and for me, I'm actually going to steal some of these guys for the redraft. So I know we, talk Dynasty, but after seeing these lists, I'm like, okay, these are some good redraft plays too. So
there you go.
All right, so who gonna jump it out? Y'all want to play 3-way paper, rock, scissors?
I've never seen a 3-way rock, paper, scissors. Have you, Garrett?
I don't know how that will work. Hopefully we all pick something different, or it's gonna take a while.
Yeah.
I'm just playing.
Yeah. We're gonna be hospitable, Garrett. We're gonna let you go first.
All right. My first guy that I'm gonna go with, this was a guy that I really loved his college tape. Some of the things that I saw, and I'll break down some of those things in a second here. But I'm going to go with J.J. Arcega-Whiteside. Reason I picked him is right now, people have left this dude for dead. Like he's no longer playing football apparently, or, he should be cut, and people have just gone way too far. First of all, wide receiver, even though we were spoiled last year with guys like, A.J. Brown and Metcalf and Debo and, a lot of these guys, even my boy Darius Slayton coming out of nowhere. I was really proud of that pick. All these guys really perform well as rookies, but that's not necessarily the norm. Some of these guys take a year or two to develop. And that's what I think we have here with J.J. Arcega-Whiteside. So when I was watching his college tape, I saw a guy that for his size, that was a very, very good route runner. He had great late hands. And when I say late hands, I know you know what I'm talking about, Vic, but sometimes guys are running and they're like this the entire time. It gives the DB tons of opportunity to be able to get there and knock the ball out. But if you're going and plucking that at the last second, that's one of the things he did really well. He boxed guys out like he's a basketball player, bodying guys up, getting those first downs, getting those end zone targets. All that kind of stuff looked really good. Gets out on the field, looks great in preseason. Everything we saw in college, we were seeing on the field in preseason. And we get to the regular season, and it was just like everything got put on pause. Like my guy did not do well. He only had a couple hundred yards, only one touchdown. He had a big drop against the Lions in week 3, and people were frustrated. People were mad. People were saying this is a waste of a second-round pick. This guy's a bum. He's done. But here's a few things to consider. One, I already mentioned, it's his second year. It takes guys some time to develop. 2, Alshon Jeffrey is the guy that's ahead of him on the depth chart. But as much as, we love the days of old of good old Alshon, he's not the same guy he was. He's constantly banged up. He's not explosive anymore. So I expect that J-Jaw will be the starting X receiver. Partly also because he's the only one that really fits that role. They drafted and traded for a ton of speed. A lot of guys that would be your more prototypical Z receiver or your slot receiver, guys that fit into those roles much better. They don't have this big body possession type X receiver, which I think J-Jaw will be able to be. He was also learning all 3 roles last season. So he was learning the Z, he was learning the X, he was learning the slot, and even some stand-up Y at times. And he's trying – that's a lot for a rookie to try to learn all these different positions in their first season. And my guy was playing injured. He was banged up. So when you add all of these things together, it's tough to be able to perform at that level. If you're telling me that he could be one of the starting wide receivers for a very good young quarterback in Carson Wentz that is going to be their starter for the foreseeable future, and if it's not him, I like Jalen Hurts too, so we're good. So either way, it'll be good. He's locked up in a good offense with a good offensive mind. I'm buying J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, who's basically free right now.
Yeah,
true. I had a bunch of JJ in a bunch of leagues, and I just maneuvered a bunch of stuff around. I feel like I barely have them anymore, man. I was just diehard JJ last year. But I moved a bunch of stuff around, not because I didn't like him, just I don't know, just how shit fell, man. But yeah, I agree with you though. And I love that offense, man, the organization, all of that. So
Yeah, I definitely got to get in. And you made a great point about how he learned, each position at the wideout spot from X, Y to Z to all the spots. And that's going to come in handy too, especially how, the Eagles like to move Zach Ertz out, to try to identify the coverage. So if you got JJ that could play any position and their receiving core has been banged up, but yeah, for him to just be a plug and play at any spot, that's solid. So I definitely need to get my shares up.
That's right.
All right, Doc, I'm going to let you go next.
all right, look, I'm gonna talk about a person that same way. However, JJ last year, I was all over this guy, and I still own him in a lot of places. Let's talk about the guy that didn't get no love in New England, Mr. Damian Harris. Look, third round pick last year from that big Alabama backfield. Look, man, all I know is he looked good at Alabama. Yeah, they had Josh Jacobs, and he was playing more of the third down back and just that, the utility back in that backfield. But Damian was the one getting the run in college, and he looked big, he looked strong, and he looks like a real good running back. And he goes to a situation that hates running backs, playing Sony Michel, playing Rex Burkhead, playing James White. It's like, why would you draft another guy? But I feel like if you sit down and let him get a full workload, let him get an off season, get some run, I think they'll start winning them out. I know Sony's banged up right now. I know they kept Rex. That's a guy I'm taking late, man. But still, Damian seems like he can be the future because I think he's the best, just legit runner in that backfield. And they did invest, like I said, a third round pick into him, and he's still signed. So Sonny's going to be coming up off his rookie contract, staying banged up. I doubt he's still there. James is what he is in that backfield, and there's no way Rex is going to be playing for years on end. So getting in on a guy who's practically free going into his second year, why not, man? Like I said, he was the starting running back along next to Josh Jacobs, who were all over because he does have the opportunity in Las Vegas. But I just love some Damian Harris, man, and I'm willing to go get him at his price any and everywhere and just let him sit and see what happens in New England. So I don't even know what they're going to be doing in New England. I don't know if they're not going to be passing. The Brady era is over. So if they could just turn into a run game with a strong defense, man, and he turns out to be the future, I'm buying right now. So take him.
Yep.
No, yeah. I hear you. I'm a Sony guy. I like Sony a lot, but I'm with you on Harris. Like it's more that I want whoever's going to be the starter there. So I'm getting my Sony shares because as of right now, he's the starter. But I want shares of him too, because if he ends up beating him out, if Sony doesn't stay healthy, there's a lot that could go wrong there real quick. And he's better suited between the tackles than a guy like James White. We know Burkhead's always beat up. I can't believe he's still on the roster. So yeah, I'm with you. I want both of those guys, and I want to lock up that backfield.
The crazy part about that is Sony's practically free, dude. In every draft I'm in, nobody wants Sony, and
I have so many shares just because of that.
Hey, we got to the point where I think I told Vic, I think I'm about to take Damian Harris, and I think Sony was still on the board, and I'm like, nah, I can't be that guy. But yeah, man, they're both practically free to a certain extent in drafts now. So get both of them. Why not?
Yep.
You ain't got no thoughts of Damian, my guy.
It is New England. I'm a Coach guy, but
he don't want to speak
but
off of.
I do got some Damian Harris shares, so I'm on board.
Say that again.
I have some Damian Harris shares. So
who he play for?
The Patriots.
I see you, my guy.
New England football team. All right, that's cool. All right, I got a guy for you guys. So let's get on the tight end. So Jared Cook, and of course, usually at the tight end position in drafts, people are jumping on the Kelce's and the Kittles and. For me, Cook is a guy that's a late steal. I mean, the name's not sexy, but he finished as a number 7 tight end in PPR last season. He put up 9 touchdowns, and believe it or not, Michael Thomas also put up 9 touchdowns. So, that production's there. And we all know that Drew Brees loves throwing to Michael Thomas. Michael Thomas consumes 33% of the targets. And, of course, Alvin Kamara, he consumed 17% last season. And Jared Cook came in third with 11.5. So, he's definitely part of the offense. He's involved. Drew Brees, likes to keep the tight end featured. So for me, this is a guy that you can get like late in your drafts, and I'm comfortable even starting him. But if he falls to you, if you need a backup play, if you're planning to stream tight ends, get you some Jonnu and also get Jared Cook. So one thing I do want to note, he is going into his contract year, so he does have to ball out, and I'm confident in that, even though he's 33. But yeah, he may be, it's a chance he could be out of there, given they just drafted Adam Trotman. But I'm definitely expecting a big season from Cook this year.
Yeah, man, I'm with you on that. I have some Jared Cook shares and some Troutman shares, just to lock up, similar to what I said about New England, just to lock up the tight end position with Drew Brees, because I know he can target the guy. We saw what Jimmy Graham did that forever. He even made old man Ben Watson look good for a minute.
Yeah, Watson.
So we know he can make it happen. We know it's definitely a possibility. And there are games, we see it out of Jared Cook, where there'll be times that you're frustrated because he's not doing a ton, and then all of a sudden he will win you a week. I'm putting up 120 and 2 touchdowns on 8 catches, and and there are times where he just balls out like that, and he's just such a good athlete, even being a little bit older at the position. Such a good athlete. I'm all about it.
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with having the tight end in a Drew Brees-led offense basically almost any year, especially when they're almost free. It's not like you're paying Jimmy Graham prices when he was there. Everyone that we wanted that ended up playing good were practically free at the point. So give me some Jared Cook too, man. He's that him and Troutman stacking Dynasty is fire.
Yeah. All right, Garrett, back to you.
Back to me. All right, no pressure. So here's where I'm going next. This is more specifically for my super flex leagues. I'm not necessarily like counting on this guy as a starter in a 1 QB, but in super flex, I'm all over Derek Carr. Here's the reasoning behind this. So one, everybody is always saying like, oh, Derek Carr's about to get replaced, blah, 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 blah. And he still puts up good numbers every year. Put up over 4,000 yards this past year. Only 21 touchdowns, so a little bit lower on that end. But here's what I'm talking about. He was still, and I have to look. I wish I had it in front of me. I had it and I lost it. But he was still around quarterback 20 or so last year, which is very, very startable in super flex leagues because you're starting 2 QBs.
Yeah.
But on top of that, he had nobody to throw the ball to. Like his main wide receiver was a tight end. He didn't have a receiver to throw to. He made Darren Waller, who was on the street the year before, because he was a converted wide receiver to tight end. He made that man look like an all-pro. Now, granted, I got to give Waller some credit. He had a very, very good season. I'm not taking anything away from him. But that was literally all they had. Other than that, it was like little Hans Renfro out there, and that was about it. So now what they do is, because the frustrating part for him was they thought they had their wide receiver position locked up. They thought Antonio Brown was going to be in there, and they had a nice target for Derek Carr. Well, that puts your team in turmoil when a week before the season starts, you're like, I guess we don't have Antonio Brown anymore, and you're having to redo everything on the fly. This year, all they did was give this man more weapons. They added Henry Ruggs. They added my boy Brian Edwards, who I love. Beast. And they even added Lynn Bowden Jr. in the backfield. Not that they need to, because Josh Jacobs is a great pass catcher. I don't know why they keep doing that.
Use him.
It doesn't make sense. That's the best part of his game.
That's what he got drafted for. I thought it was like, let's get this third down back and then slash him into the run. Yeah, all day.
Nope, they don't. So I don't get it. I don't get it. But all of that put together tells me that even so, worst case scenario, he is what he was last year, which was still a very serviceable quarterback in 2 QB leagues. He's extremely, extremely accurate. I mean, this man completed 70% of his passes last season. Yeah. Now, granted, that's because there was a lot of underneath stuff to Renfro and to Waller, but still, he's a very, very accurate quarterback with these new weapons. And you even added a guy like Jason Witten, which I know he's not going to necessarily help you in your offense, but that's a locker room guy. He's going to be teaching these boys, Foster Moreau and Darren Waller. He's going to be teaching these guys some things. I think there's good things to come for Derek Carr.
Side note.
Uh-oh.
Do y'all think they picked up Jason Witten to keep him away from broadcasting because nobody wants to broadcast.
So let us do you a favor. We're
That I don't
gonna
know.
sign you. Just stay off television.
Hey,
Sorry.
he's in Vegas, so he could definitely test out those skills out there. I'm sure.
Nah, but Derek Carr, what they did is like, hey, look, we gave you your pieces back. This is your last shot to be able to do what you need to do. You know, we're not asking you to go automatically win us a ring. I don't know if they have that as a team right now, but lead our offense, and they gave them all the chances right now with their draft. So it'll be interesting to see what Derek Carr does this year. And he's cheap too. He
Super
stays cheap. If you want to wait on your second QB, that is a good play. That's a real good depth play because he'll be there for you.
Yeah, I like Derek Carr actually, and the Mariota thing doesn't scare me or bother me. I know you got people on both sides or either side of the fence with that one, but I mean, like you said, Garrett, Carr, he's really efficient. So I mean, what else can you ask for in a quarterback? So he takes care of the football, and you gave him a new weapon in Henry Ruggs, so you could dump it off and let him create, and hopefully they get Josh involved too, a little bit more with the targets too. But we all know
praying.
Yeah,
I'm praying. I
Gruden's
got a
old
lot
school.
of Josh Jacobs shares, man.
Ooh,
Yeah,
I am all over Josh Jacobs.
He's so good.
Man.
Yeah,
He is.
yeah.
This is my guy.
But we all know Gruden's old school. He liked to run a balanced attack, so that's kind of his
true.
deal. So we'll see. But I like the call.
Appreciate it.
All right, who you got, Dot?
Man, I got a name that's not that sexy, but
Give it to us. Give it to us.
hey, look, Mr. Benny Snell Jr.
Okay.
Look, don't get this wrong. I'm not saying that Benny Snell is going to go win you any championships right now. But when you think of depth plays, you think about guys that have an opportunity to go in and get some production as the season goes on. This is going to be an awkward season for us. We already have to deal with the bang bang sport with injuries. Now we have to deal with COVID being the thing all year. So you start thinking about the likely guys that stay hurt. I would like to throw James Conner in that running back mix. He stays banged up. And I know we were so excited about the Jalen Samuels thing, but we kind of see what Tomlin wants to do with him. He's a converted all-over player. He play a little tight end, play receiver. He probably do everything out there except run the ball in between the tackles. And if James Conner get hurt, clearly we've seen Benny Snell's the guy to come in. I think he had 7 games last year, over 15 carries. It was a horrible offense. No Big Ben, Juju banged up all last year. Everything just went wrong for the offense, basically. But if James Conner goes down again, and there is a Big Ben, and all the wide receiving core is clicking, you brought in Ebron, a more athletic tight end, and advanced thing is dead, the offense can click and score points. They always do. If you give me the guy that's going to score the touchdown, even if Samuels comes in and gets the pass down work, because Benny's not going to do that, give me the guy that's going to run between the tackles, get the goal line work, and the offense is going to score. It's all you can really ask for with a guy like Benny Snell. But when you start to come to a position where you're like, give me the upside backup guys, he's not on the list of the upside backup guys. But after that list, he's right after that list. Like, okay, all the upside ones are gone. Give me the guy that can just get the production on an offense that's going to score. And he's practically free.
Yeah.
I've been doing tons of drafts. And he's at the point where it's like, I have to take him. So Benny Snell, I love getting him as like one of my 6th, 7th running backs just on my team, just because, hey, they gave him the workload, and I like to see that. So
Yeah.
You worried about my boy Anthony McFarland at all with that?
Okay, so I like Anthony McFarland, but I don't know if he's going to be the guy that would automatically run it between the tackles ASAP.
That's true. He's not a very big back.
They do like to have a running back that's going to run. They will give their running back double-digit touches every week. That's a thing in Pittsburgh. So I think if James goes down, Benny will get the goal line work. He'll get a lot of he'll get a lot of work still.
Yeah, even with the COVID stuff too. I mean, I feel like these veterans, even though he's going to a second year, I mean, he has the edge there. So yeah, so. I like Snell too. I mean, that's a sneaky play. He actually looked good last season when he did have his opportunities, and you could tell, with the Steelers, James Conner, Jalen Samuels, he's their pass catching back, and then Snell was the better runner. If they can combine those two, you got James Conner. So that's kind of how that goes. But yeah, if Conner goes down, I do think Snell has a clearer path.
And he in drafts he goes after McFarland, so you don't have to pick him
It's
over
true.
McFarland.
It's
He goes
true.
after McFarland. Hey, last year we wouldn't be so mad if those 15 for 80-yard games had a touchdown attached to them. They
Yeah,
were a
For
horrible
sure.
offense. So he
For
had a
sure.
bunch of 14 for 70s.
Yeah.
And
That's
those
solid.
games look trash with 0 TDs there.
Yeah.
You're not getting the catches, but add a touchdown or two, which Big Ben, I think, and a healthy Juju, all those weapons could create some touchdown. They're going to create touchdown work for Pittsburgh. So,
Hey,
All right. So let's look at my guy. And with mine, I like to look for a clearer path to starting or either getting on the field. So let's go to Houston. I got Duke Johnson. And of course, they brought in David Johnson, in that trade with the Cardinals. And of course, there's still a health concern with David. And if David, doesn't turn out to be healthy, then I think Duke steps into that role. Given they didn't address the running back position in the draft, although they did sign undrafted free agent Scotty Phillips, in the offseason. But right now, Duke, he's more familiar with the offense, and he's a very capable runner. He averaged, 4.9 yards a carry, which is basically 5 yards. That's. What else can you ask for out of a running back? And he also catches the ball pretty well, so he averaged like eight yards a catch. So that's solid, and he stays involved in the passing game. And of course, Will Fuller, he looks like on paper he should be the number one wide receiver, but bringing in new weapons like Brandon Cooks and also Randall Cobb. There's a lot of question marks, especially with who's actually going to be the number one. So really, Deshaun's familiar pieces is Darren Fells and also Duke Johnson. So, and of course, if Will Fuller can't stay on the field, he's still trying to figure everything else out on the fly, right? So for me, give me all the Duke Johnson.
man, at this point in my guy David Johnson's career, I'm not sold Duke isn't better. Like, I know Duke's not as big. He's not as much of a grinder. I get all that. But, I'm a Cleveland Browns fan. So I remember watching Duke play a lot. And, and yes, it is tough being a Browns fan.
man.
but Duke can play a little bit. He's a good player. And David Johnson, I don't know if it was the back injury or what, but he was not the David Johnson of old last year. So it'll be granted they gave up DeAndre Hopkins to get him, so I think they're going to have to play him. But I'm not sold Duke's not better at this point in his career.
Yeah,
You know what? I've been paying attention to football too, and I'm going to say this: Duke's not a running back you're going to give 20 rushes. But if you was to give him 10, man, he doesn't look bad. He can actually, right. I think he looks good running the ball. I just know he's not your traditional in between the tacklers runner, but right. He doesn't look bad when he was running the ball with Cleveland. I remember those days too, man. I was all over him trying to every PPR league. He's at least going to be my flex. Like that was a thing for a couple.
He had a season where he ended up being RB. It was either RB13 or RB11 on the season. He can put up numbers.
So, man, Duke. How the fuck do you trade? I don't care. It's a long time ago, but how do you trade DeAndre Hopkins for David Johnson?
Yeah,
that's still crazy to me. My bad. That just hit me. It touched somewhere in my soul.
Right. Even looking at the Seahawks and the Jets, the type of trades they're pulling off. You can definitely get some draft capital and do better. So, yeah.
Yikes.
I think Bill O'Brien's trying to be Belichick, man. Some guys can't pull it off, the GM and head coach role. So,
nope.
Hey, if you had to pick who's going to lead the team in yards and receptions, who you got?
The hard part is everybody in that receiving corps is injury prone. That's the toughest part. Is like they all get hurt. But if I had to guess at this point, I'm gonna go with Will Fuller, just because in an off season where there's so much going on, I would rather take a guy that knows the offense, has been around for a minute. The fewer moving parts, the better. So I'll go with Fuller.
Can you imagine week 3 when Randall Cobb, Will Fuller, Brandon Cooks, and Kiki QT all hurt?
Here's the thing. I can't see that happening, first of all. But we're talking about depth plays. I'm going to throw a little name out there real quick.
Okay.
Isaiah Coulter. All right. Isaiah Coulter got drafted by the Houston Texans in the 5th round. And here's the thing that I like about Coulter. One, he's a smooth operator. but he's a little bit bigger. He's 6'2". He's a little skinny. He needs to add some weight, but he's 6'2". Played out at Rhode Island, so they're not getting a lot of love. They're not getting a lot of pub out there, but very good contested catch guy. He's got good wheels. Ran like a 4.43, I believe it was. So he's got pretty good wheels as well. But they don't really have anybody with real size. Everybody's under 6 foot, with the exception of Will Fuller. Yeah. But he doesn't play big like that for the most part. He's more of a speed threat. So I could see him a scenario where he works his way into this lineup and ends up being a contributor for them at some point.
Yeah. Say that name again.
Isaiah Coulter, Coulter.
Okay, I'm getting them in my queue. I picked next in my campus, the Canton League.
There you go. Get them.
Man, I missed out.
Thanks a lot.
It's all good.
You got a flyer guy, man. Help some people out, man.
Yeah, my flyer is Caden Smith. So, of course, tight end for the Giants. I mean, given the injury history with Evan Ingram, hopefully he can stay healthy. But when Evan went down last season, Caden stepped in and, he carried the torch. So, he even put up 3 touchdowns, during that 6 or 7 game stretch with Danny Dimes. So, yeah, I mean, that's a guy you should definitely keep on your radar. And, he's shown enough, in my opinion. I'm hoping that the Giants do get him involved. But Dot, he kind of brought to my attention, when do the Giants run 2 tight end sets? I'm like,
never. Are you off Evan Ingram? Garrett, are you off Evan Ingram? I know.
I'm bipolar when it comes to Evan Ingram, because I see the potential and I'm like, ooh, like some of the things he can do, it's sexy. But then like he has some games where he's like missing in action, and then he's like hurt. And so it depends on what day you hit me up. I'm pretty Jekyll and Hyde, but I tend to take guys like, which this guy's hurt a lot too, so I can't really say anything, but I tend to take like Hunter Henry over.
Oh man, you can't be bipolar on Evan and then be like, look,
I know
to take Hunter Henry.
I know. I know. Oh, but I love Hunter Henry. I love Jack
Doyle. At least my guy's showing up to the stadium, getting the pregame meal. He's gonna be out there. So
I know, but when he's out there, oof.
He's great. All right, well, admit this: if Evan Ingram plays every game this season, there's no Caden Smith, right?
Probably not. Not.
Evan Ingram's that good when he's healthy.
I'm okay with that. That's why he's a flyer.
But where you're getting Caden though it's worth it, because if he does go down, it could be a gem.
Yeah. So we landed him in the Scott Fish Bowl, tight end premium. So yeah, we'll take that all day.
There you
long.
go.
So
there you go. I ended up with Darren Waller and Irv Smith Jr. I really like Irv Smith Jr.
I do too, man.
Yeah.
Irv is fire.
We got Jonnu and Noah Fant, and Doyle, because he shows up every week.
Good upside.
Yeah.
That's what we went for. All the upside. I got a flyer, man. It's not sexy and nobody really wants this guy, but if you're in any PPR league, please take Jamison Crowder at the fucking value he's going at. Anybody that's going to get 100+ targets, I don't care how many he's not going to complete. Anybody that's going to get 100+ targets is worthy of where he's going in these drafts. And I know nobody wants any guys in Adam Gates' offense, but dude, he just seems like a safety blanket for whoever is the quarterback in that offense. So Darnold's playing, Darnold goes down with kissing disease. Whoever's there is going to throw it to Jamison Crowder. So just take him, man. And just, I think, like I said, in these times, you're going to need guys that are going to be plug and play, because we don't know what's going to be happening week to week with all these guys. Get the for sure players that can come in and put up some kind of points. I love upside. He's not an upside play at all, but you still need some stability on your bench. So
for sure,
Jamison Crowder.
Yeah. All right, Garrett. Any more flyers?
One more flyer that I like. We saw the evolution of Drew Lock last season. We saw what he became. I think there's a guy that was in this class that could potentially follow a similar path, and that's Jacob Eason for the Colts. I like Phillip Rivers. I respect Phillip Rivers. Dude's a gamer. For a guy that will not utter a single cuss word, he's one of the best trash talkers in the NFL. But he hurt my man Mike Williams bad last year. He just couldn't get the ball to him. He couldn't get the ball down the field. And so we'll see what happens. But if Rivers starts to falter, I think Jacob Eason has some really good upside. He's got that big body that you like to see. He's got that really strong arm that you like to see. He's a work in progress. All the fine tuning needs to be done. But the upside is a Drew Lock type of player. And I know he's all the hotness right now. So if you have a chance, even if it's just a 20% chance that you could get a guy that could be similar to that for the price that he's going for right now, it might be worth a look at.
I like that. Showing my coach some love. Go ahead. What are you going to say?
Vic, I was about to say Vic feeling himself, man. He's got the biggest smile on his face.
You're
talking
a guy,
about
right?
Eason.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. But I do got a question for you guys. Since you did give the Drew Lock, potential,
right.
Would you rather have, Drew Lock's weapons or the Colts' weapons? Because, of course, Eason will be stepping into a Paris Campbell, Michael Pittman, a Jonathan Taylor. Or would you rather have Jerry Jeudy, Noah Fant, Cortland Sutton? So
if I'm a quarterback,
if
I'm a quarterback, I want Denver's.
You want Denver? Okay.
If I'm a quarterback. Now, if I'm just an offensive coordinator, that makes it a little tougher. If we're removing the quarterback completely, I'm definitely taking Jonathan Taylor over Melvin Ingram or Melvin Gordon at this point of his career. So
and the offensive line for the Colts.
That offensive line is sexy.
But we're just talking weapons.
Okay.
All right. Damn, so the fat guys don't get to be weapons. I hear you.
Yeah. Nope.
So
receiver, give me Denver.
Yeah. If it's receiver, tight end, give me Denver. But I do like Jonathan Taylor behind that line. But I still got to go Denver.
So I'm taking Colts because of the running situation. And since you took the lineman off the table, but I mean.
Yeah, we're just going weapons. I think you got the upper hand at running back.
Yeah.
But that's just it. They got the upper hand at tight end and Fant. And then they had both of Jeudy and Sutton, man.
I'm not afraid to admit I'm letting my Colts bias shine here. It's okay to let your team bias come out every once in a while.
It's all good. It's all good. Here's the thing. I like Jack Doyle this year. I wanted him in the Scott Fish Bowl. Somebody snatched him ahead of me, but I like Jack Doyle in a redraft league like Scott Fish Bowl. I don't necessarily I'm not trying to get him in Dynasty, but I think he could have some really nice numbers this year.
Yeah, I've been preaching for redraft, like super heavy. With Scott Fish Bowl. It's like, hey, we keep missing out. Just make sure we get Jack Doyle.
Yep.
2 point, full point reception. Yeah, give me him.
Absolutely.
Hey, can I don't like ending on Jamison Crowder. Can I name one more flyer for myself in Dynasty?
Do it.
Look, John Ross is a good receiver.
Woo.
I know I'm speaking injured guys, but John Ross is a good receiver. And yes, I love T. Higgins. Yes, I love Tyler Boyd. And AJ, redraft is awesome. If we love Joe Burrow and his outlook going forward, those could be the 3 receivers next year. John Ross, Boyd, Higgins. And that could just be a hell of a offense. And he's good when he plays. He produces. I know he's hurt 97.3% of the time.
He looks it makes my man Hunter look healthy.
True that. And I get it, but
I hear you though.
At his price, nobody wants him. I feel like you can get him thrown in any deal about this point. John Ross is a good receiver, and when you're looking for, he's never going to be your top 5 receivers on your team. He's that type of 6th receiver I want with the upside, man. So
he started off hot last season too.
He did because he was healthy.
And we're talking about Scott Fish Bowl. I took him in Scott Fish Bowl just for the, what if, we like that offense. We like his speed. He's an underrated route runner. So if he can just figure out how not to hurt himself just running down the field.
Running. Not targeted or nothing. He's just running and hurt. Just, God damn it, dude.
Nope, I'm with you. I like John Ross on upside only, but I like John Ross.
Yeah, upside. All right. You good, bro? You want to speak a Colts player?
Nah, that's all I got. Get you some Jack Doyle.
No Mo Alley Cox?
Nah, I think that was last summer, man. I think I'm moving on from the Mo Alley Cox.
Vic was a Mo Alley Cox truther, man. Like
it's a small group, but they're passionate.
So once they brought in Trey Burton, I'm like, okay, I see where this is going. So I had to move on. They brought in Trey. If they didn't bring in Trey, I'd still be riding that train. So,
oh man,
it's all good.
That is funny. Oh man, I love you guys as Flyers, man. So look, that was the death place. Before we get into the closing, Garrett, tell everybody where they can find you one more time. You work. If you want to shout anything out right now, this is your opportunity.
All right. Yeah. All of my stuff is with Dynasty Nerds. We have a podcast that comes out every Wednesday. All kinds of Dynasty goodness. We're in the middle of we're at the tail end of our division breakdown. So we break down basically every fantasy relevant player from that team, talk about what their season looks like and what's their long-term looking like. You can find me on Twitter at Dynasty Price. A lot of different stuff going on there. One of the things that I do periodically, I need to make sure I get a new one out here soon, but do this thing called Faith and Fantasy Football. This is where I get a chance to talk about my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, with what I love to do, which is, talking football. And I get a chance to mesh the two things together. So I put that out there, all kinds of different little tidbits on whether it's fantasy football stuff and advice or some real football stuff to help you better understand how to watch film, break down film, all that kind of stuff. That's where you can find all that.
That's fire. That's fire, man. I'll salute you for that.
Appreciate it.
Vic, where can we follow you at, man?
Follow me at Chief Sosa FF, Instagram and Twitter. Also be sure to subscribe to the podcast, Dynasty Bros FF, streaming everywhere, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook group, all that good stuff. So yeah, pretty much everywhere.
And I know I say this a lot, and I don't just say it because he's my brother. He's a great follow on Twitter, man. He's a great follow. I don't care if you don't pay attention to fantasy football, he's a character. He deserves your follow and your attention. He's one of a kind thought, man. His brain just is on an island by itself.
To be honest, you're not just gonna get football stuff out of me. I'm usually like retweeting all the BS and all the crap, and yeah. So that's kind of like, hey, look at this, or I can't believe that just happened. I literally find something like I thought I'd never see ever, and then Twitter just plays it out for me. So
Twitter's great. I still can't believe it's free.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and follow me at Dynasty Bro on Instagram and on Twitter. I'm strictly fantasy football on everything. So yeah, I'm straight to it. Just fantasy. So yeah, so that's that, man. Make sure you follow everybody. Follow our DJ at DJ AVOLXVE. It's Avo Love basically, but instead of the O, it's an X. So that's where you can follow everybody and hit us up with questions, advice, anything. All right, so closing. We always like to say something good to the people. So whether it be a good word, some advice, or just anything that you want to say, something you want to touch on, something going on in the world or your personal life, just anything you would like to get on. I went first last week for our guests so they could flow and see how we usually do it this week. Vic's going to go first.
All right. My good word for this week, I'm going to say take 5 minutes just to meditate every day, whether you're waking up or praying or just even after lunch, what have you. Just take 3 to 5 minutes, just sit in silence, and also start stretching. So that's the thing, Gary, with these say something good. I play it back for myself, so I'm really talking to myself with a lot of these, but also trying to drop some gems too. So, but yeah, I mean, let's get back to stretching too. So incorporate some yoga and some meditating.
There you go. All right, so am I up?
Yes, you are, sir.
All right. I mentioned it before. I do the faith and fantasy football thing. One thing that I really want to see it done better. A lot of times we look at Christians and we know Christians by what they stand against and what they speak out against. But if we look at Scripture, Jesus tells us that we'll be known by our love. And that's what I think, we need to do better is we need to do better at showing love to people, even if we don't understand them, even if we don't look like them, even if we don't agree with them, even if we don't there's no stipulations, there's no asterisks, there's none of that. It's, hey, we're called to love. And that's the end of the sentence. So, I think that's something that we could all do a little bit better at is loving those that are different than us, whether the same as us, it doesn't matter. We need to do better at loving.
Yeah. Hey, on that note, I want to shout out the fantasy football community on Twitter because that's what everyone do on there. They show love. So I definitely want to take the time to shout out that community.
True that. It's all love. It's always love, man.
Yeah.
So, and I am currently going through this right now. Me and Dynasty Bro Vic always get to catch up and talk before we hit record. And this is my good word. Take time for yourself. It's a lot going on. After you do your due diligence of checking on your people, make sure everything else around you is straight. Take time for yourself, man. We work hard. I just clear some clutter out, clear your mind. Like you said, do some yoga, do some stretching. Take care of yourself, man. You drive yourself crazy not taking care of yourself. So once you make sure everything around you is straight, make sure you take 2 for yourself too. I need to take a day off this week. I probably will, man.
You gotta do it.
Get some me time, man. It's needed. So just make sure you always need to have some time for yourself. So that's gonna be my word. Because I feel it.
All right.
Hey, Gary, I want to thank you for the flyer pick, man, because we're getting into the 33rd round of this damn Campus to Canton League, and I was just like, fucking, I'm about to take Frank Gore. Like, it's just, hey, man, I was just getting the guys like, fuck it, Cordell Patterson. It's just people that don't have no upside, you're just drafting because it's like, I'm just going to take a guy that might get 3 carries.
I think I'm about to snag Adrian Peterson just for the hell of it. So
You never know what can happen. Guys, as much as I love him, he can't seem to stay healthy either. So
I know.
You never know. But yeah, hit me up, man. I'm going too deep. I need to get a life. That's what it is. I need to get a life because I'm like, oh man, this guy was a undrafted free agent from blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, he's never gonna play. Why do I even know about him? Like, but that's what I do.
Oh man, that is funny.
Hey, Gary, we definitely want to thank you for coming to hang out with the Dynasty Bros. So we appreciate that. And shout out to the nerds, Dynasty Nerds, and the Nerd Herd. So, yeah, it's all love. Definitely want to thank you, man. Hope
Appreciate
to have you
it,
back.
guys. You guys have a good night.
All right, you too.
You too, man. Holla.
Take care.